The term "get woke, go broke" was coined a few years ago to describe the commercial failure that would befall a film or TV show that pushes current year identity politics. It means audiences will dislike it and it will become a commercial failure. These projects are usually accompanied by a mainstream woke press who run defense for the production and the filmmakers, and who usually name-call anyone who criticizes the film, labeling them some kind of ist or phobe. I don't believe that Hollywood is unaware of how unpopular and ultimately unprofitable these types of productions are, actually. For decades, they've known exactly how to entertain the masses. They have generations worth of audience feedback and marketing data on what storytelling formulas work and what don't. They know these deeply polarizing and divisive themes and political messages are mostly disliked and have an overall negative impact upon the quality of the production. So why include them? Ultimately, Hollywood is in the business of making money, generating profit from the films and TV series they make. Why mess with the winning formula by compromising them with, wokeness? Why jeopardize their potential profitability? We've had a few years now of wokeness, and it's been proven time and time again to be a major negative for a TV show or film. And yet, it continues. The only conclusion that I can reach is that, at present, Hollywood studios are willing to take the financial hit because the ideological message means more to them. The propaganda comes before the profit. But obviously this strategy is not sustainable in the long run. Eventually it has to end. There will come a point where they must course correct, and I think we're seeing more and more examples of that over the years. The first example I can think of is the Ghostbusters franchise, which did an all-female Ghostbusters film in 2016, which was hugely unpopular. And so the woke stuff was dropped for the next installment, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was just a straightforward action film with no feminist angle. It even brought back some of the original cast members. Batwoman on the CW became an absolute meme of a TV show, despite lasting 3 seasons. Each season, though, not only saw a decline in ratings, but the number of episodes was also reduced. 20 in the first season, 18 in the second, and 13 in the third, before it was finally cancelled. Recently, Bounding Into Comics had this article by Jacob Smith. Elizabeth Banks and Sigourney Weaver led pro-abortion film Call Jane absolutely bombs in box office debut. The article later states, debuting in 1,068 theaters across the United States, Call Jane only managed to score a measly $243,922 in its opening weekend, a certified bomb. As noted above, this is not the first time that Banks in particular has felt the sting of feminism-related failure. Notably, the actress/director was also responsible for the box office disaster that was Charlie's Angels 2019, which lost Sony roughly $30 million. Breitbart had this article recently by John Nolte on September 9th. Woke summer movie box office collapses 21%. The summer box office took a 21% dive this year. LOL. From the Wall Street Journal. That haul was 21% lower than the summer season in 2019. The last year untainted by the coronavirus pandemic, and 19% lower than the average summer gross between 2005 and 2019. It was the lowest haul since 2001, when summer movies earned $3.34 billion at domestic theaters. The summer season typically accounts for about 40% of annual box office receipts, ComScore says. The reason, ComScore said, is there simply weren't enough movies. The film industry is still suffering from a hangover caused by the pandemic, which delayed hundreds of productions and forced distributors to reshuffle their release schedules, say movie studios, theater owners, and analysts. Studios only gave wide release, defined by ComScore, as those that show on at least 2,000 screens to 22 movies this summer, compared with 42 in the summer of 2019. The author goes on to say, there was no shortage of theatrical releases this summer. According to Box Office Mojo, nearly 80 movies were released in June alone. What is this lack of product you speak of? Between Memorial Day and Labor Day, hundreds of movies were released theatrically. Oh, but those movies don't count because they weren't released on 2,000 plus screens. So it's not that movies aren't getting made. The problem is that hundreds of movies are getting made and are being released theatrically. But those movies are movies nobody wants to see. The article rightly highlights that there were very successful non-woke films in cinemas this summer, including Spider-Man No Way Home and Top Gun Maverick, which were both hugely successful at the box office. So it's clear that if the product is good, audiences will pay to see it in the cinema. So there's no reason to blame the pandemic. The article goes on to cite 3 woke films that underperformed at the box office. Lightyear is a woke Toy Story film. I'm sure a lot of parents didn't want to take their children to that train wreck. Thor: Love and Thunder was a big disappointment, and as the article points out, it basically emasculated Thor. And finally, there was Fantastic Beasts: The Secret of Dumbledore. All of these films basically pushing current year lefty political themes. So, to conclude, I think it will gradually become harder for Hollywood to justify its current direction and the agendas they've been pushing in their productions. The cinematic box office is not looking very encouraging of late, and if you also consider the poor fan reception to TV shows like Rings of Power and She-Hulk, it's not much better on television. Something has to give. Something has to go. Wokeness in mainstream entertainment has to come to an end, eventually. Audiences are just too put off by it now. They're aware of the agenda, they're tired of it, they don't want to be preached to, they don't want to watch it, on the big screen or at home. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The 2 articles I mentioned in this video are both linked in the description box below for you to check out. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe for more, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.